Lauren and Alexei vanished from TLC without warning. 1 week present, next week erased. No goodbye, no press note, no final scene. Viewers noticed the gap and felt the chill. A couple treated as untouchable slipped out of frame and silence followed. Silence loud enough to feel planned. This moment flipped trust for many fans who believed stability earned safety. The shock sits heavier because chaos usually gets punished, not calm. The absence signals a choice, not a mistake, at least in my opinion. Something inside the franchise shifted, and the shift matters more than any single couple. This story points past Lauren and Alexei toward a system built on control and turnover. Watch how quiet decisions reshape reality shows while cameras roll elsewhere. If calm relationships offer balance, why do steady couples disappear faster than the messiest ones? Lauren and Alexei were framed as the rare calm spot in a franchise built on chaos. From their first season, TLC sold them as the couple who argued but fixed things, who fought but stayed grounded. Over the years they appeared across multiple seasons and spin-offs, always positioned as familiar faces you could trust to bring some balance. While other couples exploded over visas, money, or trust, Lauren and Alexei debated diapers, in-laws, and daily life. It felt almost strange watching two people act normal on this show, and fans joked they were the palate cleanser between disasters. Their long run turned them into comfort viewing, the couple you expected to pop up again because they always had. That expectation made the absence louder. First one season passed without them. Then another. No explanation on screen. No farewell moment. Social media stayed quiet. Viewers started asking privately whether something changed behind the scenes. And once you notice the pattern, the silence stops feeling random. At some point, the gap stopped looking like a scheduling issue and started feeling deliberate, like a door closing without a sound. What made the situation louder was what never arrived. No press statement from TLC. No farewell clip. No closing storyline. In a franchise obsessed with talking, silence stands out more than shouting. Reality TV loves drama when drama helps the brand. Silence shows up when drama helps the people in charge. Over time, fans of this franchise have seen this move before. Couples fade out without explanation. Familiar faces stop appearing. The show keeps rolling as if nothing changed. At first, viewers assume confusion or scheduling conflicts. Then patterns start forming. Silence repeats often enough to feel intentional. In my opinion, this kind of quiet works as control. No statement means no record. No record means no debate. Drama invites questions. Silence shuts them down. That shift from confusion to suspicion happens fast once you see it. When a couple exits with fireworks, the story stays alive. When a couple exits without a word, the story dies quietly. And this silence starts pointing toward rules viewers never see. The longer TLC stayed quiet about Lauren and Alexei, the more it looked less like oversight and more like a strategy. A strategy designed to move forward cleanly, without inviting attention to what happened off-camera. The next layer of this story sits inside paperwork, signatures, and terms most viewers never hear about, and that is where things start feeling less accidental. The power gap becomes clearer once you look at who controls what. The network decides who appears, when stories air, and how long visibility lasts. Producers shape narratives through edits and confessionals. Contracts limit what cast members say during and after filming. On the other side, participants hold one thing only: screen time. And screen time lasts only while the show finds use for you. There is no long-term security baked into this setup. Experience does not equal protection. Familiar faces do not earn immunity. Lauren and Alexei reached a point where their history worked against them. Years of appearances built recognition, yet recognition did not translate into leverage. In unscripted television, loyalty often lowers bargaining power. The longer you stay, the more predictable you appear. Predictability reduces urgency. When urgency drops, replaceability rises. In my opinion, this is where things shifted for them. Their value became measured against flexibility, not history. When a couple knows the system well enough to ask for better terms or clearer limits, the balance tips. The show always holds alternatives waiting in line. And once loyalty stops working as protection, the ground starts moving fast. At that point, experience becomes a risk rather than an asset. So what happens inside a system like this when cast members stop nodding and start asking for more? Former cast members across reality TV have spoken publicly about how pay works once cameras stop rolling. Compensation hits ceilings early. Restrictions grow over time. Outside projects get limited. Public commentary gets boxed in. These details sit in contracts long before problems surface. Nothing explosive on paper. Just control layered quietly. Lauren and Alexei were no rookies by the end of their run. Years on screen teach you patterns. You learn what grows the show and what grows your own brand. At some point, experienced casts start asking whether the balance feels fair. Not loud. Not hostile. Just aware. That awareness does not make someone rebellious. It makes them informed. In my opinion, that distinction matters. Questioning terms does not signal trouble. It signals maturity. But systems built on control do not reward awareness. They reward compliance. Long-term restrictions stay invisible to viewers while shaping every decision behind the scenes. When cast understand those limits clearly, tension follows even without raised voices. And this is where quiet conversations start carrying weight. Nothing public breaks. No statements leak. Yet positions harden. The system does not bend easily. It adjusts by removing friction. Once fairness enters the conversation, consequences follow in subtle ways. The shift never looks dramatic from the outside. Inside the structure, though, the response feels immediate. Asking questions does not start a fight. It starts a countdown. Early seasons of this franchise sold relationships. Slow tension. Real adjustment. Awkward moments that felt earned. Over time, the format shifted. Shorter arcs. Louder conflicts. Faster meltdowns. Calm started reading as boring inside a system addicted to spikes. Stability stopped fitting the rhythm. A couple who talks things through does not explode on cue. A marriage that works does not reset drama every episode. Lauren and Alexei became steady in a space built to reward chaos. That steadiness once made them valuable. Later, it boxed them in. Watching normal problems unfold does not hit the same as screaming matches and walk-offs. The franchise learned chaos trends better. Chaos clips better. Chaos keeps comment sections hot. There is almost a running joke among fans. If nobody storms out, producers start sweating. Humor aside, the frustration sits underneath. Calm couples slow the machine. They do not deliver constant shock. And when shock becomes the currency, stability turns expensive. This is not about likability. It is about fit. A predictable couple struggles inside a fast drama cycle built to refresh outrage every week. That shift explains a lot without blaming personalities. The question then moves away from behavior and toward math. Once chaos outperforms calm, what do numbers say behind closed doors? Networks watch numbers the way coaches watch stats. Views, clicks, shares, comment spikes, every reaction feeds decisions. On paper, the data looks neutral, like math. In reality, numbers are filtered through choices already made. Allegedly, executives interpret engagement to justify moves they were leaning toward anyway. If a couple shows signs of slowing the spike, it becomes a convenient reason to change course. In my opinion, the process is less about true audience desire and more about supporting a strategy. Declining buzz, or even slight plateaus, get framed as evidence. That framing makes quiet removal look like necessity instead of choice. Long-term familiarity starts to work against a couple. The same history that once drew viewers now risks diminishing returns, and that math gets used to rationalize decisions that may already be decided. Lauren and Alexei's experience and steady presence may have made them predictable in ways the metrics highlighted. And when data points make the argument for change, replacement suddenly looks simpler than negotiation. Networks can introduce a fresh face for lower cost, more drama, and immediate spikes. In this system, numbers do not just track popularity, they point toward action. And action rarely favors established stability. That's why familiarity can sometimes be a liability in a format built on constant measurement. The franchise runs like a revolving door in more ways than one. New couples arrive with lower fees, fewer demands, and more willingness to play along with whatever storylines are pushed. Every twist, argument, or viral clip is amplified because the audience doesn't know them yet. They generate instant debate, online chatter, and fresh engagement that metrics love. Long-running couples, in contrast, come with history, expectations, and limits. They carry continuity, which is valuable for loyalty, but that same familiarity limits how far they can be pushed. Predictability creeps in, and sudden sparks are harder to manufacture. In my opinion, that makes them riskier inside a system hungry for spikes. The more experience a couple has, the less flexible they become, and networks allegedly notice this. Stability starts looking like stagnation. Churn becomes easier than renewal. Every new face is cheaper, more reactive, and more prone to feeding the data machine. Fans see the drama, but the calculations behind the scenes are invisible. Lauren and Alexei were valuable because of their brand, but that brand made them harder to mold. And if a couple that endured years in the franchise can quietly vanish, the real question becomes, who among the veterans is truly untouchable? Every familiar face carries history, but history doesn't guarantee protection. The system favors replacement over preservation. Even after cameras stop rolling, the rules don't. Contracts extend beyond filming, often with strict non-disclosure agreements. Former cast members can't talk freely about behind-the-scenes negotiations, disagreements, or reasons for their exit. Breaking those rules risks fines or legal action, so silence becomes a safe choice. Allegedly, this is why so many exits feel invisible to fans. Lauren and Alexei have stayed quiet for the same reason. It is not avoidance or guilt. It is restraint. Years on the show taught them that speaking up could create problems that extend far beyond personal feelings. In my opinion, that silence is a sign of self-awareness and professionalism. Viewers may wonder if they are hiding something scandalous, but the reality is simpler and quieter. They are bound by rules most of us never see. This adds an emotional weight to their absence. Fans can feel cheated out of closure, yet the couple is acting responsibly within a restrictive system. And when visibility disappears while silence remains, the next shock hits. The story itself moves on without you. Lauren and Alexei's scenes are gone, yet the franchise continues. Their narrative is erased from the ongoing story, leaving the audience to wonder how someone can exist on screen for years and then vanish as if they never mattered. Once Lauren and Alexei were gone, the franchise kept rolling as if nothing changed. Storylines continued, new couples appeared, and reunions carried on without a single acknowledgement of their absence. There was no wrap-up, no reflection, no on-screen explanation. For viewers, that silence is louder than any argument or meltdown ever shown. It leaves a gap where understanding should be. You start to question what really matters in the story. If people who were on screen for years can disappear without a trace, how much of what you see is shaped by choice rather than reality? In my opinion, this quiet erasure breeds distrust. Fans invest time, emotion, and attention, and suddenly the rules of engagement feel invisible. The show promises access, but access is conditional. Viewers begin to feel like outsiders in a system designed to manage what they know and when. And if a couple can be removed without acknowledgement, it raises the bigger question: who decides what the audience deserves to know? The control is not just behind the cameras, it extends into the story itself, deciding which narratives survive and which vanish. For years, fans trusted certain faces to anchor the show, and now that trust is unsettled. What you thought was a stable story becomes a lesson in uncertainty, and every familiar face suddenly feels at risk. This is not a story of secret betrayals or hidden scandals. There is no need to speculate about fights we never saw. or rumors we cannot verify. Lauren and Alexei are not victims of some hidden personal failing. In my opinion, their disappearance follows a pattern repeated across years in the franchise. Long-standing couples who once anchored seasons quietly vanish when priorities shift. This pattern is not about individuals. It is about a system designed to protect the brand, not the people on screen. Decisions are made to preserve flexibility, maintain ratings, and keep the content machine running smoothly. Familiar faces can be erased without comment, and the show moves on as if the history never happened. Lauren and Alexei become an example of how control operates quietly, without drama, without spectacle. The emotional weight of this is subtle, but real. Fans feel unsettled. The couple is gone, yet the mechanisms behind their exit are invisible. This approach serves the franchise's interests, not the cast's security or the audience's sense of fairness. And if the system values the brand over long-term trust, what does that mean for viewers who invest emotionally in these relationships? The implications stretch beyond one couple. Every loyal fan, every engaged follower begins to wonder how much of what they see is curated, and how much is left out, shaping expectations and reactions in ways they cannot fully trace. Reality TV markets itself as open, authentic, and unfiltered. Cameras capture lives, arguments, celebrations, and heartbreak, promising viewers a seat at the table. In practice, the story is shaped at every level. Editing, scene selection, and narrative focus guide what the audience experiences. Off-screen, contracts, NDAs, and production choices control what cast can say and do. The result is a carefully curated reality that feels spontaneous but is tightly managed. Fans connect emotionally, believing they understand what is real, only to discover that the system chooses what counts as part of the story. Lauren and Alexei's absence highlights this gap. They were once fixtures in that narrative. Suddenly, nothing. No scene, no explanation, no context. That silence speaks louder than any argument ever broadcast. In my opinion, it's a reminder that investment in reality TV is conditional. Viewers feel blindsided because the sense of transparency is broken. Every loyal fan starts to wonder, what else is missing? Which relationships are being framed while others quietly disappear? And if audiences are unknowingly guided by selective storytelling, what happens when the system's priorities outweigh trust? The model works for short-term engagement, but it also creates tension between what is presented and what is real. Over time, that tension can erode the very connection the show relies on, raising questions about loyalty, expectation, and the invisible hand behind every storyline. The story of Lauren and Alexei is more than a single couple disappearing. It's a warning embedded in the system itself. Stability, experience, and loyalty offer no guarantees in a show designed to favor flexibility. If someone with years of presence and recognition can vanish quietly, newer cast members have even less protection. Every decision, every negotiation, every request for clarity or fairness carries potential consequences. In my opinion, the silence around their exit sends a message. Compliance is rewarded, questioning is risky, and familiarity does not buy safety. This pattern creates an atmosphere where cast members must weigh personal boundaries against screen time, knowing the rules are stacked. Fans may see only the drama, the arguments, or the romances, but behind the scenes, each episode is a lesson in leverage and replaceability. For viewers who have followed the franchise for years, this is unsettling. For the cast, it is cautionary. Every new couple must navigate a system that has proven it will prioritize the brand, the story, and engagement numbers over loyalty or fairness. And if one veteran can disappear without explanation, the next exit may be closer than anyone expects, waiting just around the corner in the next season, or spin-off. The signs are subtle, but the stakes are real, and the pattern is unlikely to be an anomaly. Looking back at Lauren and Alexei, everything falls into a pattern that is hard to ignore. Silence is not absence, it is control. No announcements, no farewell, no acknowledgement. Every moment of quiet is a calculated choice, preserving the narrative while minimizing scrutiny. Stability, once their strength, became a liability. Being predictable, reliable, and loyal suddenly made them harder to mold and easier to replace. The data that tracks engagement does not tell the whole story, but allegedly it provides a convenient justification. A plateau in buzz, a dip in spikes, and the math makes the decision look necessary, even inevitable. Contracts extend far beyond the camera's lens, shaping speech, movement, and opportunity. Those legal frameworks keep participants in check, turning restraint into a rule rather than a personal choice. Put it all together, and Lauren and Alexi's disappearance is not a mistake, a scandal, or bad luck. It is a system working exactly as designed. Emotional attachment, experience, and history are all secondary to flexibility, cost, and viewer engagement. In my opinion, the unsettling clarity is that the show's structure is stronger than any individual cast member. No one is untouchable. The lessons stretch beyond one couple. Fans watching closely begin to see the patterns, the signals, and the invisible rules shaping the drama they consume. And now, as the franchise moves on, another familiar face is quietly navigating the same currents. Will you notice the signs before the next disappearance hits the screen? The next chapter may arrive sooner than expected, and those who pay attention might finally see how the system plays its game, long before it claims its next familiar presence.